Now, here in Hong Kong, an annual candlelight vigil is being held in Victoria Park to remember victims of this tragic massacre. The world watched in horror in 1989 as China's government ordered troops to fire on crowds of protesters who gathered to demand freedom and democracy. But mainland China seems intent to impose a form of amnesia over the whole event, censoring all coverage or discussion of the massacre. That includes both CNN TV and online. Matt Rivers joins us now live from Beijing. But first, let's go straight to CNN's Ivan Watson live in Hong Kong's Victoria Park. And Ivan, how many people are taking part this year? And every year, the vigil has a different meaning for the people of Hong Kong. Why are they there?
Kristie, it's my first experience here at this candlelight vigil, and it's very moving to see thousands of people holding up these candles after the organizers were playing archived footage from the protests and then the violence that crushed the protests in Beijing, in Tiananmen Square, some 30 years ago. It's a very moving scene here, and people have come out braving evening rain showers and thunderstorms to mark this moment. As one of the organizers here put it, this is not just commemorating the hundreds, perhaps thousands of people who were killed 30 years ago, but for many Hong Kongers, this is part of their fight to protect the freedoms that they have inherited as a part of China, the only part of modern China that is allowed to honor this day, that has democratic freedoms not enjoyed in the rest of mainland China, democratic freedoms that many people here feel that the Chinese central government is steadily chipping away at. Kristie.
Yeah, Ivan, this is a vigil that is so rich in meaning for the people of Hong Kong to remember what took place in Beijing 30 years ago, but also fight for freedoms in Hong Kong that are increasingly being curtailed. Ivan Watson reporting live. Let's go to Matt Rivers standing by in Beijing. And Matt, this is a sensitive anniversary where you are. You have borne the brunt of the censors this day, and you were there near Tiananmen Square. What has been the scene in and around the square today?
Well, the scene here in Beijing, Kristie, could not be in starker contrast to what Ivan just described in Hong Kong. And what I mean by that is there's nothing happening here. There are no memorials. There are no remembrance ceremonies. The violence, the hundreds and thousands of people, hundreds or thousands, depending on which death toll you believe, of people who were killed that Ivan was just talking about, that was in the streets right outside of our offices here in Beijing. But China does not want to talk about it. The Chinese government will not talk about it. School children are not taught about what happened. You can't search for Tiananmen Square massacre on Chinese search engines. State media here today, not a word about this anniversary that the rest of the world is talking quite a bit about. And that's specifically done, Kristie, in order to not have the Chinese population, the average person here, talk about what happened. And it's not just state media, it's foreign media too. CNN.com has been censored all day. Our TV signal has been censored. And when we were out in the streets earlier today doing a live shot about this, we were interrupted. Let's play you what happened. If you stick your neck out and you start talking about... we're not sure who this gentleman is here. Plainclothes police officer, more than likely. So what we're going to do now, Rosemary, I'm going to toss it back to you in the studio. Natalie, you can just back up. We don't want to antagonize the situation, but this is what happens when you talk about Tiananmen Square. Go again. So what's happening here is that uniformed police officers don't want to be captured on camera pushing us away, but then they bring in people like this who clearly are working for security forces in some way, shape, or form, but they just don't want us to be here. And so, Kristie, we were reporting in a neighborhood called Muxidi. Despite Tiananmen Square getting most of the attention, it was in Muxidi that a lot of the killings happened on June 4th. It's west of Tiananmen Square. That was 30 years ago. And yet China's government is still so committed to not talking about this that they stationed dozens of police officers and plainclothes security officers to thwart people like us from going to that area and talking about what happened. It could not be more different here in Beijing than what you're seeing right now in Hong Kong.
Yeah, absolutely. These attempts to snuff out history, what took place 30 years ago. And it's not just a political story, but of personal loss as well. You know, our thoughts just go out to the Tiananmen mothers and others who lost people on what happened 30 years ago. Matt Rivers reporting live. I've been watching reporting live earlier from Hong Kong. We thank you both. Now,